for that dog shit pick. What the fuck were we thinking? What the fuck were you thinking?
Hello there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Jimnasium with me, XFL Jim, joined by my co-host Chase, Lupine Fiasco, the Wolf of Oaklawn, Monday Night Lights himself, Sessoms. And of course, I am the whole buffalo.
That's always right. That's right. The whole buffalo. We can never forget the whole buffalo.
Eating the spicy jerky. It's called the High Country Super Slab.
That's the most whole buffalo-ness sounding piece of jerky I think I've ever
It's really
come across.
Good and really spicy, and I'm trying to stay awake. I'm exhausted. I got a lot going on tonight, but we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. It's
I want to savor the XFL part. I want to save that for the middle. So I want to start a little college football. Your team had a day.
Yeah.
Your team had a weekend. Mine did not, so we don't even need to talk about Nebraska embarrassing themselves against Illinois.
Yeah, but the Hogs got a very much overdue, like 3 years overdue win against Auburn that got Brian Harsin shit canned, which, I mean, if you're going to beat a team, that's nice. But beating a team and getting their coach shit canned, that's pretty much a win every single time.
Anytime you can get a hated rival's coach fired is a good day.
Yeah. You know, I heard something interesting a few weeks ago regarding Brian Harsin, and it was, I want to say it was maybe like Greg McElroy, some other just like maybe ESPN college football talking head that was saying that he would have been fired after the Missouri game, but the issue was that there's not a head coach on that staff. There's no one that they would have trusted to be a head coach, but I guess they just decided enough was enough.
I don't trust anybody on that staff. We can talk about who we think would be a good candidate at Auburn. I know very biasedly. I think it would be very funny if they went the Hugh Freeze route.
But they just gave Hugh Freeze a gigantic extension.
Libibity did give him a big old extension, but I think it would be objectively funny if he went to Auburn.
It would be pretty funny. I'll tell you what. If I could see it being Bobby Petrino, I could see him being at the top of their list.
Good Lord. That would. So, as an Auburn hater, because he's objectively, like, he's been good at places before. As an Auburn hater, would you accept seeing them rise to the heights that Petrino could take them, as long as you know that the fall is there?
That is probably the best question I think you've ever asked me. As long as the fall is there, yeah, absolutely.
Because he will bring them to the mountain. Like, he's succeeded at most everywhere he's been relative to expectations, which means at Auburn, he might take him to a natty, but he will when he eventually gets outed from the program, he will leave it a flaming tar pit of nothing.
I don't think he would actually be able to get Auburn to the natty.
I think he could get him there. I think he could get him there.
The thing is that he tries to make up for his deficiency in recruiting personnel with trying to like out scheme and out coach, and like eventually it just catches up. Like, you know, whenever he was at Arkansas, I was excited because it was like, all right, well, you know, instead of trying to like out Bama or out LSU, he's gonna do it with this, you know, this offense that's obviously pretty good. But when it came down to it, it's just like we just didn't have the horses, you know, and I don't see that really changing at Auburn, him being able to recruit those sort of players, because it's just kind of he's got some terrible relationships with high school with high school coaches. Like he
I
burned
don't even
all
think you just
sorts
need
of
to stop
bridges
at
in
high school
Texas.
coaches. He just has terrible relationships with almost everybody.
Just have pretty much, yeah. With
I don't know a single
his dog,
yeah,
his
just
family.
nobody likes him.
No one likes him. No one likes him.
I'm still waiting for Louisville to hire him back, though.
Louisville will always take him back.
I'm waiting for them to fire Satterfield and just take him back.
The other name that I heard that like I will, I don't know, I will go back in time and do some sort of act of violence to make sure that this doesn't happen. Is I've heard Bo Jackson throw around the name Deion Sanders.
Oh.
Oh God, do not want.
Has there been the precedent for an FCS to like SEC jump?
From FCS, no.
I know there's been like FCS to P5. It's not very common, but it does happen sometimes.
Well, I mean, you've got Jim Tressel, FCS to Big Ten to national championship.
Did he jump straight from FCS to Ohio State?
Yeah, straight from Youngstown State to Ohio State. So I mean, there is a precedent there, and it took. I mean, I think it took him at least a couple of years to win a national championship. But
I trust Deion as a coach.
Yeah, I trust him as a recruiter too.
I think it'd be a really good hire. He'd be able to fucking dominate the recruiting trail.
I don't know. I think he's also pretty happy at Jackson State, just absolutely dominating and having his way with absolutely every aspect of it. Like the thing about going to Auburn is that you have to deal with Auburn boosters. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't wonder how like someone with Deion's like charisma and whatnot would be able to balance that.
I don't know. Those boosters pretty much
crazy.
seem to. Yeah, they pretty much have their way with everything that at Auburn.
I've heard Lane Kiffin's name thrown around too.
I'd be hard to. I'm not sure if they'd be willing to pay the amount of money it would take to buy Kiffin out of his contract and whatever other stuff they have built in, saying that he can't go into another SEC West school.
Yeah, that. There's probably a whole bunch built in with that. I've heard. Obviously, everyone's going to be throwing around the Panthers coach.
Matt Rule.
Matt Rule is going to be thrown around for every job.
Yeah.
I obviously wouldn't hate it if you're Auburn, just because I think he's going to be a solid college head coach. And then Eric was talking with me. He said like he threw in Chadwell from Coastal Carolina, and I just don't know. I don't think he vibes with the craziness of Auburn. He just seems like such a coastal guy.
I think I could even see them going the cheese dick route again, where they pull somebody who's not really all that great as a head coach, but they know that they can line up, a couple of big name coordinators under him who really are coaching the team.
That they could do that, or like maybe they go like an actual just coordinator route because the G5 coach didn't work this last time.
That's true. I don't know. Whatever it is, I hope they make a terrible, terrible decision.
I've gone from being neutral on Auburn to hating them, not nearly as much as you, but I do hate them. You've rubbed off on me.
They're a very hateable program.
They're very hateable. They are hateable for the similar reasons that I really hate Texas A&M now. They have like an unearned sense of superiority.
Yeah.
And they're very annoying.
Yep. All of this is true.
And then I have nothing else to add. Other big like college football things that kind of happened. Tulane is still on a killing streak. What happened to Oklahoma State? I don't know how.
Good question.
Like I thought K-State was going to win. I thought Kansas State was the better team, even with Will Howard. You can't goose egg it.
I can't remember the last time I've seen that Oklahoma State team get bageled.
I can't think of a time. Maybe like one of the earlier Gundy seasons against like Oklahoma.
Maybe, but it feels like just the way that Gundy coaches and the offenses that he always puts out, it just feels like maybe this might have been like the first time in the Gundy era that they've been bageled.
Very well could be. Also, North Carolina is like a quiet 7-1.
Jesus Christ.
They're going to win that division, and the way Clemson's been looking,
they might give Clemson a game.
Which, God, I really just don't want to see any ACC representation in the playoffs.
Me either.
Because if Clemson basically Clemson has to go undefeated. I wouldn't think any one-loss ACC champion is getting in over any other P5 one-loss champion,
or even just a strong one-loss P5 team, like say Tennessee loses, or say Georgia
Tennessee has
loses.
to lose close though.
Tennessee has to lose close. Georgia would have to lose close, and then
So
and then they whoever won that game would have to win the SEC championship.
Exactly. We are in the. This is the only time where I'm okay projecting playoffs. I don't like doing it early on, but it's kind of fun to do it now. So, say the scenario: Clemson loses to Notre Dame this coming week.
Okay.
Very possible. Very possible.
The way the Notre Dame's playing, they're putting it together.
They're looking good. So Clemson goes on to win the ACC at 11-1.
Okay.
We'll probably just say Georgia goes undefeated, wins the SEC. Tennessee loses. They're the only loss that Tennessee has. And then Georgia wins the SEC championship game against, well, we're thinking it's between Alabama and LSU probably.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss is still in it, but I don't see Ole Miss winning out. I see them kind of fumbling a lot.
So, I mean, same here. They're in the toughest part of their schedule right now. So, yeah. I think that's probably, yeah.
So I would say Georgia probably beats both those teams. So Georgia wins undefeated. Ohio State is probably going to win the Big Ten. Michigan Ohio State game's the game. That's the game for the conference.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think either whoever wins that goes into the game undefeated, goes into the championship game undefeated. So I'll say Ohio State. So undefeated Ohio State, undefeated Georgia, one loss Clemson, one loss TCU. TCU trips up but makes it and wins the Big 12 with one loss.
Hold on, sorry.
Ah.
Yep.
Adorable.
The June bug making an appearance.
For those people just listening, that's the June bug. You can't hear, but you can see.
Yeah. Yeah, you can just see the corner of her head, which is enough.
What's your friend's name?
That's Jim. Okay. Can you go find your mama? No. You're just going to lay here? Okay. Keep going, Jim.
Okay. And then say UCLA makes the Pac-12 championship game and avenges their loss. So a one-loss UCLA who beats an Oregon team in the Pac-12 championship game, a one-loss TCU, an undefeated Ohio State, undefeated Georgia, they're both in, and a one-loss Clemson. And then in this scenario, there would also be a one-loss Tennessee.
I still think you get...
I think you get Georgia, Ohio State, and Tennessee are probably all in.
Yeah. I think a one-loss Clemson... Well, actually, I would probably go with I would go with a one-loss champion of the Pac-12 over Clemson.
But what about TCU? If they only lose one?
I still think you get just based off of...
Do you go Pac-12 or Big 12 is the thing?
I think you go Pac-12.
I lean that way, especially if UCLA, if Oregon's in the championship game and they avenge the loss.
Mm-hmm.
I think you go them. So there is a realistic scenario where we could get a Ohio State, Georgia, Tennessee, UCLA, which I think that'd be fun.
I think that'd be. It's been too long since there's been Pac-12 representation.
I also feel like there's parity. I feel like Georgia's probably the best team, but I don't think they're like last year's Georgia, who were leaps and bounds better than everybody else.
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree.
I would love. This would be the perfect year for an expanded playoff, where you could get a TCU, a UCLA, Clemson would make it, Michigan and Ohio State would make it, Tennessee's in there, LSU maybe squeaks in and heats up at the right time.
Yeah.
Ugh. So I thought we could do a little fun thing, go through the top 25, and by top 25, I really only mean the top 10.
Okay.
Because that's, especially with the playoff rankings, that's really all that matters.
Okay.
And kind of predict where we think these teams would be come playoff time. Come when the rankings come out literally tomorrow, where we think these teams will be. So at number 10, we have UCLA. I want to say they're still in the top 10.
I think they're definitely in the top 10. I think they're definitely in the top 10, but I think they might be sitting right at 10.
I think they might be in the same exact spot.
Yeah.
I if I'm being 100% honest, I don't see a ton of change in a lot of these rankings.
Yeah.
They have like 8, 9, and 10 are Oregon, USC, UCLA. I could see that. UCLA, USC, I could see flipping. Maybe based off of like a playoff committee bias, because USC's a name, they could maybe squeak out to like 7.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you had it right with you flip USC and UCLA.
That's how I would do it, but I don't think like the committee, they see USC as a name. I don't know if they do that.
I think they do. I
hope
think
they
they could. Because I think that UCLA's played the tougher schedule up to this point.
I think hands down they've played the tougher schedule.
Yeah.
At number 7, we have 8-0 TCU. So the only controversial thing here is they're 8-0. Alabama's at 6 at 7-1. The committee probably looks at the schedules and I look at TCU as a good team. They have a great offense. The defense is a little suspect, and they've beaten all the ranked opponents on their schedule, but they have played a lot of backup quarterbacks.
I think that the committee loves undefeated teams, and based off of that, you could see TCU jumping up to possibly even number 5 or 6.
See, I could see TCU potentially passing Clemson as well. Like if they pass Alabama, I would put them ahead of Clemson as well.
Right.
So I could see TCU as high as 5, but I could also see them at 7. Alabama at 6. I could see Alabama as low as
7 or 8.
Yeah, 8's like the lowest I could see them.
Yeah.
Clemson I could see as like 6 and 7. Michigan probably around 5, either 4, 5, or 6. I'd put them either or. They've kind of they've played not a lot of great teams, but they have dominated.
Yeah.
And then Ohio State, Tennessee, Georgia. I feel like they have it in the right order in the AP at Georgia, Tennessee, Ohio State at 1, 2, and 3.
I think you're probably right. I think that the committee will put Ohio State first. I think Ohio State, then probably Georgia 2, Tennessee 3 is how the committee probably puts it.
I think it's Ohio State 2, Georgia 1, and Tennessee 3.
Georgia hasn't been as impressive like as of late. Like they've been winning, but they haven't been they're not like the Georgia team of last year that was just dog fucking folks for
that Penn State game's
season.
fresh in people's minds though with that Ohio State. And yeah, they turned it on at the end and proved like, oh yeah, this offense can just score in seconds on anybody.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I also think like the playoff committee is extremely narrative based. And with Georgia, Tennessee coming up this week, I think they want an opportunity to have 1 and 2 playing each other.
I think that's probably fair.
So I think they leave it at 1, Georgia 1, Tennessee 2, so that you can have your top. It'd be the first time in the playoff ranking history that 1 and 2 have played the regular season.
Yeah,
I think they want that.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not only about putting the best teams together. It's about, like you said, it's about generating the best story and the best narrative for the college playoff. So,
and then you'll see like all the momentum carry over, and then like after the top 10, really 5 through 25 don't matter. It's really they kind of matter because you can see movement. Like say, if Tennessee loses, how far would they drop? Who would replace them? Blah 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 blah. There's a lot going into it.
Right.
I can't wait for a larger playoff.
It's going to be here sooner than you realize.
I know, but when we can project, like if they had 12 teams, we would see like a Utah-Georgia matchup potential. Well, wait, if they do 12 teams, they get bye weeks, right?
I think.
Was it top 2?
Top 2 or top 4?
I think it was top 4.
Yeah.
So then you'd see a Utah-Clemson matchup.
It'd be pretty good.
Oh, let's do this real quick. So if we had a 12-team playoff, Utah-Clemson, I think that's a good game.
Yep.
Alabama-Ole Miss is a rematch, but could be fun.
Could be fun. Yeah.
UCLA-TCU is electric.
Yeah, it is. That's points. Take the
awesome.
over.
And then Oregon-USC, probably fun. That's still fun.
Yeah.
And that's college football.
There we go.
Anything else you want to touch on?
I mean, Woo Pig. We're one win away from bowl eligibility. We get Libivity next week, which I saw. I think today we were like
13 and a half.
Yeah, 13.5 against a 7-1 Libivity team, which I think your angle is fade them since they just entered the top 25.
I do want to fade them. They're in a weird position because that's a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
For a team that's been pretty feisty, but I do want to fade them for entering the top 25. I do want to wait and see, because now the playoff ranking is the one that really matters.
Right.
So if they're not top 25 in there, I don't know. Also, the trend of interim coaches, I feel like I have to just, on principle alone, it's gross, but I have to take Auburn to win this game.
I won't begrudge you that too much.
Like, Charlotte did it.
Yeah.
It worked for Charlotte. It'll work for anybody.
Rally round the
interim. For one game, at least one game. So
just for one game.
I am taking Auburn this week. Apologies in advance to every Auburn hater out there, but this 1 week I am taking them. Now we can talk about my favorite thing of the weekend. The XFL logos and team names have been announced.
Yep.
Oh, look at them.
Pretty good.
There. So
Very
we have the
sexual,
Arlington Renegades, the DC Defenders, the Houston Roughnecks, the Orlando Guardians, the San Antonio Brahmas, the Seattle Sea Dragons, the St. Louis Battlehawks, and the Vegas Vipers. I'll have my full-on review and explanation video coming out later this week, but Chase, what are your opinions?
Okay, so first, bottom left and bottom right, you've got
very sexual.
Very sexual. What I saw originally was a banana orgy, and I can't remember who it was on Twitter pointed out that all they saw was a uterus, and yeah, it's very Uty. That's for sure.
Very vaginal. It's
very, yeah.
People talk about H.R. Giger being very penile in his art. This is very vaginal in its art.
Yeah, the Vipers and the Brahmas both have very, very vaginal and uterus-like artwork. I wish the Brahma. I guess I know what they were going with the skull, but I feel like they could have just easily used a bullhead that didn't look like a uterus and been fine.
I appreciate that they did.
Yeah,
I kind of. To me, I see. So they're going for it's a skull. It's a bull skull, but it also kind of. I can see it being like a scorpion bug thing as well.
Yeah, I will say that the Seattle Sea Dragons owe a little bit of money to Homestar Runner because they just have Trogdor the Burninator as their.
It is literally Trogdor, and also I would exit. I'm gonna Photoshop the sea out. Why even change the name to the Sea Dragons? Everyone's just gonna call them the Dragons anyway.
Right.
The logo change is very funny. It's kind of dumb. They went from copying UAB's logo to copying Trogdor.
Trogdor the Burninator, yes.
And I'm okay with it. I just don't like the name.
I'll say it's a tie for weakest between the Guardians and the Sea Dragons.
The Guardians redesign, it kind of looks like I'll see if I can pull it up. It looks like the Glacier Bears, the Glacier Boys from the FCF.
Okay.
And it that one just reminds me of an FCF logo.
It just looked like the Thundercats.
And it doesn't make me think of Florida.
No, not in the slightest.
It doesn't look that much like it. Glacier Boys are a little bit more blue, but it just doesn't make me think Florida.
Yeah. Now the Roughnecks logo, I can see why they ran into a little bit of copyright issue between the old Houston Oilers logo, but it still looks dope. The Roughnecks logo.
Well, so they changed it.
Yeah.
I kind of the redesign. It still looks dope. They kind of just made it fatter.
Yeah.
And shorter.
Yeah.
And it still works. It still works really strongly.
Yeah, no, it does. And I'm just, like I'm saying, it just, I can see why they were like, the NFL was like, nope, Oilers can't
still
use it.
Still fuck them, but
yeah. Defenders and Renegades, really simple, but really good. Kind of the same with the Battlehawks.
Battlehawks just didn't change a damn thing, which is perfect because that was probably the most recognizable team from the 2020 version. Just don't change it. Keep it going. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Renegades, I like their alternate where they have the mask.
Yeah.
It is simple. It just seems kind of boilerplate. I'm not the biggest fan of DC's just because I like the shield a lot.
Yeah.
And that is their alternate. So their alternates are still really cool.
Yeah.
But the D with the C, it looks it looks like a spur. It looks like a boot with a spur to me, and it feels like a cowboy thing.
Yeah, no, I get it for sure.
I am a fan of the Vipers.
It's,
I like
I
the color scheme that they went with for Vegas.
Yeah. I would have been really. I think the Vipers would have been dope with like a neon, like neon pinks and blues kind of Vegas, more Vegasy kind of neon colors.
That would have been cool. All in all, I'm happy with them. I'm fairly happy, and I think I'll warm up to them. The thing with like whenever you see new logos for leagues and whatnot, they always take a little getting used to because you're just not used to it.
The only thing that won't change is my opinion that the Sea Dragons logo is bad, and they should feel bad for it.
No, the logo is fantastic because they are paying homage to Trogdor the Burninator, and I like that. I hate the name.
Yeah. Come on, you could have just been the Dragons. You didn't have to lean into Seattle being the official city of the ocean.
Yeah, you were just the Dragons before.
Yeah.
Why not just stick with it? It's fine. It was fine.
Yeah.
The big thing that we're gonna have to watch for are next up. It's the jerseys. I want to see how some of these jerseys look.
Right now, I'm gonna go ahead and say the Vipers jerseys are gonna be dope as fuck.
I bet they're gonna look slick. So I bet the Roughnecks look good because they looked good before. The Defenders looked slick and clean. If they use their alternate, if they use that shield, I think it's gonna look sick.
Yeah.
The Vipers will look awesome.
If the Sea Dragons try to do something like the Florida Gators did back in the day, where it was kind of like gator skinny, like if they had like if it has like scales and stuff, then I'm fully against it.
Yeah, I'm out at that point. Renegades can probably just look pretty good. I think they looked pretty good before. They'll still probably look pretty good. I want to know what colors the Brahmas, the San Antonio team, goes with because it's like a metallic gray and that yellow. That could be interesting.
I kind of like that. That makes me
it.
think of like a West Virginia alternate jersey kind of thing, where that gray on the yellow on the gray. Yeah, I think that would look pretty cool.
The Guardians, I'm worried they're going to look like bad Oregon uniforms. With the green on green.
I think you're pretty safe to have that worry. There'll be like a mix of like bad Oregon with like bad like Baylor basketball with like the highlighter green. Yeah, those could be ugly.
So potential uniform rankings, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go Vipers at 1, San Antonio 2. I'm going to go safe. I'm going to go Houston 3, Arlington, the Renegades 4, St. Louis 5, Defenders 6, Seattle and Orlando tied for last.
I think the only reason you put St. Louis there is because you already know what you're getting. It's
you know where you're at. Like they're fine. I I love the logo. I do like the Battlehawks logo. I love all their stuff is cool. But the uniforms themselves were just kind of all right for me in 2020. They weren't one of my favorite ones. Like I thought the New York Guardians, the black. We talked about this with the USFL. Black on red is just so fucking good.
It's dope looking. It's real dope looking.
I will say this, compared to the USFL, lots of variation on colors.
Far less just red.
Far less just red. You've got your blues, your greens, your oranges, your yellows. Lots of different color variations. I do like that.
I agree. The USFL really just kind of pigeonholed themselves into like everyone had. You only had one team that was blue.
You had one team that was blue, and then one team that
was purple and orange.
The worst color combination I've ever seen.
On the worst team in the league, yeah.
Not a great look. But I'm happy for the XFL. I'm excited. Season ticket deposits are available now if you go to the website.
Get it,
$50 for season ticket deposit.
Dude,
I don't know how much the actual season tickets are, but the deposit is $50.
Well, however much they are, they're worth it. Get it. Go. Enjoy.
I thought about
long football.
I thought about talking with our Vegas correspondent, our buddy
Scotty B.
I thought about talking with Scotty and splitting season tickets with him for Vegas.
That would be pretty hot.
Depending on how much they are. So if you put a deposit on a suite, it's $500.
That would be. You know how killer that would be for XFL Jim to have a Vegas suite.
I am debating it. I don't know how much the actual season tickets for the suite would be.
This sounds like a walkover of a debate.
Well, the fact that the deposit is $500, it makes me think that like the actual season tickets are going to be expensive as fuck.
Be like $5,000. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't have $5,000 to blow. But if I can get a suite for a game,
Hell yeah.
oh, dude.
Yeah.
I
that's
plan on going up there twice. Like I want to go to 2 games in Vegas next year.
I want to try to go there with you.
And then I don't know where they're doing the championship game, but I gotta go. Like it just has to happen.
If they know what they're doing, they're going to Vegas also.
So since their hub is in Dallas, I bet it's in Dallas.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Yeah.
But still, that's an easy flight for me.
Yeah.
God, I'm just so hyped. The XFL series. We got the draft coming this month.
We're gonna do something for the draft somewhere.
Something is going to happen in the garage. And now the last bit of sporting news. This is a short episode, and I'm happy with it.
That's fun.
We had a little NASCAR, so we don't usually talk NASCAR. But
when something dope happens. Yeah.
When something extremely dope happens, I feel like we have to.
Yeah, dude, this was cool. This was cool as shit. I would watch more NASCAR if shit like this happened all the time. This is some
Ricky Bobby shit.
Yeah,
so
man.
Keep your eye on the bottom left right here with Ross Chastain. 10th place right now.
He's won his way into the championship.
Look at that.
Let's go get us a championship.
And the fight for the points right at the
God,
Look how he did it.
Of Chastain past Hamlin.
How?
It was a video game move off into turn 3.
Dude, just fuck this car. Let
Just
me do whatever it takes. I love it. That's bad.
Balls to the
so
wall.
Cool.
That's doing whatever it takes to win. Look at this.
Yeah. Just no
Scrape
brakes,
paint.
all gas, scrapes it, and then gets the bump to push himself into what, third? That's
5th.
That's amazing.
So he went from 10th to 5th. He had to get in to qualify for points and everything. He did it. If NASCAR was like this every week,
it makes me think. Honestly, it makes me think of horse racing when you see like a horse just skim the rail. It doesn't look like they have any room, and all of a sudden they just skim the rail to just crush souls.
but if you're on that horse, it's probably the best feeling.
Oh yeah, no, that is the best feeling in the world. It's so awesome when that happens. I had a horse one time that it was just recently retired. It made a late run at the Kentucky Derby, but I had it when it broke its maiden at like 34-1 on the last race of the day at Oaklawn. I was there with my friends. I had 10 across the board on this thing to win, and it just, skimmed the rail. Probably had a white stripe of paint from the rail on its side on the way up, just absolutely come flying in. And I kept telling everyone I was with, I was like, hey man, if you win, just keep it cool, be cool, don't draw attention to yourself. I went fucking nuts.
I mean, you have to at that point.
Yeah, and I loved that horse for the rest of its career.
You just have to at that point, you just kind of have to say, I have your back.
Yeah.
You got me at this point. I will carry you.
Oh yeah. The horse's name is Plainsman. Just retired. Love that horse.
Speaking of a little degeneracy, though, it is time.
Yes.
For our finale. The roulette table, the beautiful roulette table. We have $4,500 sitting here right now.
I'm feeling the number 8.
God damn it, Chase. I was going to say the same thing. Here's how we're playing it. We're playing it hard.
Let's get it. Let's go.
Let's go 8.
What number was it? 18.
We just kind of lost $2,500 is all.
Oh, okay. Massive win.
Massive win. We won 2,000, but we lost 2,500.
Yeah. Still a massive win.
They'll still call it. It just makes you feel good.
That's right.
That'll do it for this episode of the Jimnasium, folks. So for college football, we're in week 10 already. Before we go, anything you're watching out for this week?
Oh, I'm so like buried into the Breeders' Cup at this point that
Oh.
I other than Arkansas playing Liberty, I'm not even sure what's going on. I do know that I hit my third straight week on Tally site in the top 10 with totals.
The Undertaker
The
never quits.
Undertaker. The
My man is
Undertaker.
keeping it busy. Check out the previews. Chase, where can the people find you?
Yeah, check out my horse racing pod. Like you just mentioned, I had a 3-part series, the build up to the Breeders' Cup with Ren Carruthers, my buddy Caleb Knight from across the pond, Malcolm Bamford, to give a preview of some of the Euros. So check out the pod, the Notorious OTB, on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Then tomorrow, let's see, I'm going to be on the Sports Gambling Podcast talking Breeders' Cup. I'm going to be on something for Horse Racing Nation, previewing the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. After that, I've got a fantasy stable draft for the Breeders' Cup with my buddy. He failed to menace, but he succeeded in stealing our hearts, Matthew DeSantis. And then after that, I'm recording another episode of the Notorious OTB with my buddy Boston Tommy McNamara. Going to be playing the Friday Breeders' Cup card like we're in the BC, the Breeders' Cup betting challenge.
You're a busy man.
Yeah, it's going to be an insane couple days.
Y'all know where to find me at XFL Jim on Twitter, everywhere basically. I got a lot going on this week. CFL Week 21 recap. The finale of the spooky season is there. Halloween may be over, but spooky season lasts just a couple days longer.
There you go.
CFL regular season recap. The XFL full-on logo deep dive coming out this week. And the CFL playoff previews, because it is the postseason of Canada's League. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll see you guys next week for another episode of the Jimnasium.